Hey, season 3 of This Is Gravel on the Gravel Guru channel. We have Neil Taylor. We have Baja Divide. We have me. And we have social media, which is you. We love you. Watch us. Welcome to This Is Gravel. Season 3 is upon us, and let me make sure I get this exactly right so we can maybe get a little Red Bull in the picture here. I like Red Bull. Do y'all like Red Bull? Sorry, sitting next to me is not Leland Danes, but Neil Taylor. My friend Neil Taylor here from Emporia. Neil, what have you been up to?
Oh, Bobby, riding my bike a little bit. Trying to get out as much as I can during this
Indoors,
cold weather.
outdoors, on gravel?
Outdoors, gravel. You know me, I can't get on a trainer.
Okay.
But it's been a little tough being sick here recently. The flu season's been getting me. How about you, Bobby? What have you been up to?
Flu season is upon us. I got knocked down 2 weeks ago, so I took a week off. I have been on the trainer. I have been outdoors a little bit, especially on pavement right now. Sorry, it's you know, it's wet outside. There's a lot of spray. We have Matt's giving me the shaking his head already because you know this isn't.
This is not
right. So anyway, we have a race coming up this weekend, so I had to get riding on that. Absolutely.
Race time already.
Going down to Texas Chain Ring Massacre, the Spinistries events down there. Kevin Lee. It's gonna be a great time.
Are you doing the 100-mile or the 60?
There's a 100K. I'm gonna do the 100K. Forecast is 60 and rain.
60 would be nice, right?
Yeah. So we're starting off the season right. Right. Neil's with us. Neil's gonna help us out this year. We're going to learn a little bit more about Neil. Matt sat down and talked with you. And do you want to introduce your own segment? I'm not just kidding. Let's see what Neil's doing.
My name is Neil Taylor. I've been riding bikes now for just about 4.5 years and have absolutely gotten bitten by the bug. I mean, it's what I basically try to do almost every day that I can, as long as the wife allows me at least. We've been married now for almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years here, the weekend after Dirty Kansas actually. We've got 2 kids, an 8-year-old daughter who just loves riding bikes with me as well. We go out and ride a couple miles usually at a time. She's hoping to at least do a smaller race, something about 15, 20 miles this year. And then I've got a son, Lane, who's 4 years, well, he'll be 4 years old here in March. I hadn't ridden a bike in 20 years, to be honest with you. I didn't want to ride a bike. I'd had a guy at church ask me numerous times, hey, you want to go ride bikes with us? And I told him, no, not interested. I'll hurt myself. I hadn't ridden a bike, like I said, about 20 years. But he got me out there and I just fell in love. The first ride out on gravel, I was on a mountain bike that was for a guy that is 6'4". It wasn't built for me, but just being out there in nature. Being out there in nature, seeing everything around you, seeing things that you never get to see inside of a city. I grew up in Chicago, so what I get to see here around Emporia, Kansas, I never got to see for the first 25 years of my life, and I just love it. This year, well, this year's the first year I'm going full out single speed for everything, and to be honest with you, a big part of my goals is just getting through the races sometimes. That was a challenge because I started riding a single speed bike right after Dirty Kansas last year. I hadn't been on a single speed bike before then, but maybe for about 50 miles. But I got one because I didn't want to ride land run this coming year with a geared bike again. That spelled some doom last year for me. So I picked up a cheap single speed at that time and started riding single speed bikes. And my first race, my gearing was way off. It was here, Tour de Lyon County. It's a pretty flat 100-mile race, and I was so undergeared. I mean, I was set up at 36.16, and I was spinning out the whole time. The next race that I did with the single-speed bike was Gravel Worlds. I was way overgeared. I was 42.19 there, and I was struggling, especially the last 25 miles or so. And I think most single speeders I've talked to said that those last 25 miles were just brutal. And so my hope is to learn a little bit more about my gearing on the bike, but you know, complete these races first of all, be competitive at least in the smaller local races. I really want to come close to, if not beating the sun, racing the sun at Dirty Kansas this year. I think, based upon the improvements that I've kind of made over the last few years, I think that it's within reach. say for me, one of the big goals, at least that I personally have, is riding with my daughter. I talked about her earlier a little bit, and Abigail loves riding, and I want to get out more with her. That to me, honestly, is my top goal. And I like the idea of getting more kids in cycling. There's a kid at our church who will be riding the Dirty Kansas 50, and he's actually got my old bike that I finished the 200 on the past 2 years. And so him and me have been out there training, and to me, one of the big goals is, again, getting those kids out there, whether it be my daughter, whether it be someone like Timothy, and encouraging them to do it, because I wish this is something I hadn't just picked up 4.5 years ago. I wish instead of the years of countless sitting around playing video games, I was on a bike instead. I mean, that would have been way more productive for me, a lot healthier of an option. To be out there, to ride, to enjoy myself.
Cool, so there's a little bit more about Neil. Love single speed. I had fun riding it a couple times last year, but you're kind of all in on the single speed, right?
Yeah, I got all in on the single speed here, getting that 9R LT9 with steel frame. I love it, absolutely.
Beautiful bike.
It is a beautiful bike.
A lot of fun to ride.
Yeah, Adam at Gravel City and me kind of got together and figured out exactly what we wanted to do with that bike. It is a blast to ride. I know you got to ride it around the parking lot, I think a little bit, had some fun on it.
Right.
But I love it. Hopefully this guy won't be in every race that I do single speed, because it seems like every race that he's in that I'm doing, he beats me.
I only get in the races I can win. That's my trick, my theory.
I thought about bringing my second place, medal that I got from Jagger, since you had your first place one here when Leland was on the show.
Daughter's been on the bike?
Daughter's on the bike, yeah. She's already been outside riding on gravel this year. I mean, she's gotten out. She loves getting on gravel. In fact, she doesn't want to ride around the pavement anymore. Nice. Every time I ask her, she's straight to the gravel.
What does she think about riding in the cold?
She's fine with it, but I have to bundle her up the right way, because Abigail's this kid that's like, let's go out in shorts and a t-shirt and ride when it's 30 degrees.
Right.
And I have to tell her, no, honey, gloves. Let's put some other clothes on and get out there, a little more appropriate dress for her.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Neil, honestly, sincerely glad to have you with us this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely glad to reach out to Ryan Van Duzer this week. Matt got in touch with him. He is doing a vlog series for riding the divide down there. Baja Divide. Sorry, there's lots of divides. Baja Divide. Be nice to be down there, wouldn't it?
It'd be fantastic to be down there. I saw his Facebook page. Blue skies, sunshine. I miss that.
So Ryan, we have one more month until we get the nice green grass that starts to come up here and nice blue skies again. Help us out.
Hey, Gravel Guru fans, we're joined today by Ryan Van Duzer out of Boulder, Colorado. Hey Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, I'm so psyched to be here. Thanks for having me.
You know, Ryan, I stumbled across your content on YouTube. I think it was back in November when you were loading your Trek 1120, showing your packing list for the Baja Divide. Talk to us a little bit about the journey you went on.
Man, it was an incredible journey. I've been on a lot of bike tours. I love riding my bike. I've actually never owned a car in my life. Biking is my life. And I've never done an off-road tour. So I thought the Baja Divide would be the perfect first off-road bike tour. And yeah, I got my bike all set up and headed down to Baja in late November. Had no idea really what I was getting myself into. I went down with my buddy Mike, and we started in the little town of Tecate, and we followed the GPS routes as far as we could go. It was incredibly beautiful. The terrain it's like another planet. Some of the cactus are just like out of this world, Dr. Seuss looking. We had access to beautiful cliffside camping spots, total seclusion, complete beauty. What I loved about this ride is that when you're usually doing a bike tour, you're on the roads and there's cars whizzing by you all day long. Baja Divide, there's barely any cars. So it was really, really safe in that sense. And just every night, just silent and beautiful.
I think you hit right there one of my favorite things about bike packing, why a lot of us ride gravel, is no cars whizzing by you all the time, that type of thing. Why did you settle on doing the Baja?
Well, I've always wanted to do the Continental Divide Trail, but it just never came together. And I heard about the Baja Divide trek from friends who had been doing it. I mean, it's a brand new trail that Lael put together, and I don't know her, but I went to the website and I said, that looks amazing. Because I've ridden my bike down the Baja before, but on the main highway. And it was great, and I loved it. And I thought, well, this would be even better than that, because first of all, I love Baja, I love Mexico, and now I get to try my hand at a little bit of off-road action.
You know, what type of planning went into this? Because obviously, I talked about how I discovered this was a YouTube series you were putting together. So obviously, you're shooting vlogs along the way. What type of planning had to go into a trip like this?
Quite a bit of planning. Again, when I go back to most of my road bike tours, it's a lot easier because you have access to gas stations and restaurants to get food and water. In Baja, I knew that there would be many days at a time where I had no access to food or water. So one of the big things I had to plan for was bringing enough water, or the capability of bringing enough water and food, but also traveling light because you're off-road. And usually on my other tours, I was carrying a bob trailer, and I knew I couldn't have a trailer on this ride. So it was really getting all those pieces together, getting the lightest gear possible, and smashing it down and playing with all the bags and making sure it all fits. And then looking at the route. I'd never used a GPS before. I usually just use my phone because I'm in cell phone reception. I knew in the Baja I wouldn't have cell reception. And I'd also never really followed a strict route like the Baja Divide is. I usually just do whatever I want when I'm on these bike rides, and it's kind of a choose your own adventure. So there were so many things that went into planning for this. And honestly, I was very intimidated by what I was getting myself into because it was all new.
Very cool. And I think probably with bikepacking myself, that's one of my favorite parts, is kind of those logistics behind the scenes of planning a trip and that type of thing. Talk to us a little bit about the series, though, you put out of vlogs out on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I love creating adventure content. I've been creating videos and working in the TV industry for about 10 years. And my goal with all of my content is always to inspire viewers to also do something epic and awesome. And I essentially show them how it's done, and that you don't need to be an elite athlete to do some of these things, and that the outdoors is accessible to everybody. So for this bike tour, I really wanted to show people the beauty of Baja, the magic of Mexico, and the people and the culture and the food, and just my personal experience being down there, the difficulties of riding the Baja, through the sand and washboard roads. And I really wanted to make a genuine series about what it's like and not just show off all the pretty parts. So I tried to show off, the parts that weren't so pretty. And I think the series came together really well. I'm very proud of it. It was a ton of work. I had 3 different cameras with me. So first of all, the Baja Divide is already hard enough. But then you add in filming yourself doing it. And there'd be many times I'd ride and I would put the camera on a tripod, ride back, then ride in front of the camera, pick up my gear, and do that over and over and over all the way down, fly my drone. And so it was definitely an ordeal. But when I look at the videos that I made, I'm proud of what I've accomplished. And a lot of the people who are watching the videos seem to really love it. And that makes me happy.
You talk about inspiring others through there and showing that bikepacking is something that's really available to a lot of people and getting out there and exploring new places. I think a prime example of that is you took your friend Mike along with you on this trip. I believe on vlog number 1 in the series, you mentioned that it's his first time going out bikepacking. He'd had this bike just a couple days or something like that.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. Mike's an athlete, but he had never done a bike tour. He was interested in doing something. And I saw him 2 weeks before I was leaving. I was going to go do it alone. And he's like, hey, man, I want to talk to you about bike touring. And I'm like, well, yeah, let's not just talk about it. Let's do it. I'm leaving in 2 weeks for Baja. And he's like, okay, I don't have a bike. And he put together everything within those 2 weeks before the departure date. He bought a Surly Krampus, I think 5 days before we met up in Mexico. He got all the bags ready. And so for him, it was really impressive how he put it together. But it goes to show that essentially anybody can do something like this if you just put your mind to it and commit.
Very cool. And talking back, obviously with this show, I've done a lot with carrying cameras out there in the field, and it's a lot of work carrying that and your supplies to get through the day, that type of thing. But how did you really maintain your energy? Because one thing that I could tell just watching this is you've got this contagious energy that just makes you want to get out there and get on your bike. How do you maintain that, running up, setting up cameras, launching the drone? You mentioned not taking a tent, but you took the drone type deal.
Yeah, exactly. The drone is priority over a tent any day. I'll sleep in the rain. can have a drone. I've always been a very energetic person. I've always loved endurance sports. And when I'm in the middle of doing something that I really love, I think it just enhances my energy. And when I was out in the Baja, I was just like loving it every day. And for me, it's exciting to be able to document it, because I know that if I don't hit that record button, the viewers back home will never see what I'm seeing. So you really have to go the extra mile to document some of these moments. And like I said, some of the moments that are hard, like you got to hit that record button, you know, and talk to the camera and tell what's going on, because that helps tell the story. Because if you don't do that, then, you know, it's much harder to piece together a coherent, you know, arc together of what's happening.
You know, I know a lot of other cyclists, and one thing that I think is a common trend among people into bikepacking is you start to get a lot of tabs open on your browser, planning these trips and maps like that. What would you tell to someone that, you know, maybe has 15 different trips on their browser type deal, but can't ever pull the trigger and get out there to try their first one?
I would say, and I talk to people a lot about this, is just start small. I mean, it's really intimidating to look at riding across America or riding the entire length of Baja and, you know, I got to take 2 months off work and blah, blah, blah. Start small and do something like 4 to 5 days over a long weekend to see if you like it, to see if you love doing this. And then you get your bearings straight. You get to know what kind of gear you need. And then once you get infected with how awesome it is to ride a bike and sleep under the stars, then you can start planning the bigger ones. And that's essentially what happened with me. After my first long bike tour, I was hooked. My first tour, I rode from Honduras to Colorado after I served as a Peace Corps volunteer. And from that moment on, I was like, I want to make out time every single year, at least, for some sort of bike tour.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And actually here in the next month, we're going to start rolling out content on Gravel Guru about doing your first sub 24-hour bikepacking trip. You know, riding the 10, 15 miles out to a local lake, exploring that,
yep,
coming back the next morning. Because one thing we found, we did a 4-day trip last summer, was just learning the skills of packing your bags every day and saving time doing that type of thing out there in the field.
Yep. And then packing and all that stuff, it can be overwhelming. And what gear do I need? And oh, I need so much money. And you don't really need a ton of money to pull this stuff off. You just have to, you know, be smart with how you put it all together. You know, I ask a lot of companies to sponsor, and I'll say, hey, it's going to be highlighted in my video. So there are ways to make it cheaper if this is something you want to do.
Definitely. There's lots of different ways, lots of different groups promoting bikepacking right now. Reach out to those if you're interested in, and they can probably hook you up with some friends to go out on your first trip with. Ryan, what's your next big adventure you have planned?
I always get that question. I don't have anything really big. I'm going to do my a fat bike snow tour coming up here in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado in early February, but that's just like 4 or 5 days. I'm going to go back to Cuba. I rode my bike across Cuba 2 years ago. I'm going to go back to Cuba in March and ride around Cuba a bit with one of my friends. But I'm thinking about going across the country again. I think I want to explore more of America. I think our country's at a time right now where there's lots of division and confusion, and I want to get to know my people, and the best way to do that is on the seat of a bike.
Very cool. Across America trip's one that I want to do. It's on the bucket list at some point, sometime, whether that's east to west, west to east, or north to south on like the Tour Divide. It's definitely on the bucket list. Where can people
I would go west to east? If you go west to east, you have the winds at your back.
Fair enough. We want the winds at our back on a trip like that. Where, Ryan, can people find this content of yours?
The best way to find my content is my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/DuzerTV. That's D-U-Z-E-R TV. If you just Google my name, my stuff will probably come up. My main website is DuzerTV.com. So anything Duzer will work.
Very cool. And we'll definitely share all the links in our descriptions with this video. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Keep on spreading that bike love.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Awesome, Ryan. When are we going to go down?
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Maybe next year? Maybe when our kids grow up, so another 10 years possibly.
Yeah.
So that's where our wives actually let us go.
8 and 4, yeah.
Right, so we got a little while, but we got to get down there eventually. I noticed, watch this, watch, real quick. You see this? This is the magic of being in a studio. Isn't that cool? It's like slow motion up there. Okay, so social media has been blowing up.
Yes.
People have been sending us pictures from all over the United States, and let's hear from a few.
Hey, thanks Neil and Bobby. Another great show, great social media that's been coming in through using the hashtag #ThisIsGravel on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram channels. First off, we've got Brad out on local winter gravel roads in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Jade got in a 37-mile gravel ride in northwest Kansas before the blizzard rolled in out there this week. Jeremiah got in 40 miles around Duluth in Superior, Wisconsin. He says he couldn't tell you if there was gravel under the snow or not. Kevin was up riding in Illinois, a short 17-mile ride, but the rain moved in. Luke was out exploring the Nebraska Sandhills. Matt Gersip got in a 101-mile gravel ride in southeastern Nebraska this past weekend. Says it was a great day. Michael Brown was out riding at Malibu Creek State Park in Southern California. Mike got in a 56-mile gravel ride in the fog and on a chilly morning in northern Illinois. Pat Glad went up and explored the Kansas border from home, a windy ride in 55 miles. Paul was out riding near Abilene, Texas, on just about a 25-mile ride. Roy said he wasn't able to get out on the gravel this week, but got a 29-mile ride in on the local trail. Russ was out doing land run training, his first temp up Brethren Hill, loose rock, and an 18% grade. Sarah was out riding on the Missouri riverfront, says it was about a 40-mile ride. Tony and his friends got in a 40-mile ride in eastern Iowa. Vinny was out exploring the Sam Houston National Forest near Waverly, Texas. Thanks again to everybody that shared their social media with us. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Boom, social media. That's social media right there. Neil was just telling me while we're watching that he actually has never seen the show.
Wow, really?
I just
definitely watched all of season 1. Season 2 kind of fell off. I feel like the production level went a little bit down.
Okay, all right. Make sure you send us your pics via hashtag #ThisIsGravel. Reach out to Matt. He'll be love to help you with anything on the Gravel Guru page. Reach out to myself on the Casual Cyclist Facebook page, Instagram casual_cyclist, or
Neil at Minister of Gravel. I'm either on Facebook, Minister of Gravel, or on Instagram, Minister of Gravel.
Nice. We have one more way to get a hold of us. We're everywhere. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in another week. See ya.